Welcome.
Cheers, Pass.
We're here at Stanley, and that's perhaps the beginning of your story, huge story that it is. So tell us about growing up in the Big Apple, as it is, in Bramley, just outside Leeds.
Yeah, I'm always going to be grateful for Stanley for giving me a start in rugby league. And how I started was I was at primary school, someone brought in a letter saying, do you want to come down and play for Stanley? And it was 10p subs to come back and join way back when, and I came down, instantly loved the game. I had no real history in my family of playing rugby league, and then started playing. My dad became the coach of the team and stayed at Stanley all the way through. You know, I think I was quite lucky that I got to play open age rugby. I didn't sign at 16 like a lot of other people. I played open age, I had the crack with the open age team. I was playing
the crack. What's the crack?
You know
Explain
the crack.
That.
So my weekend, right. My weekend would be when I was about 16, 17, 18. Is that I'd be working and I go out Friday night, a few pints, then come and play for the Stanley Open Age, and then obviously you go out, you have a great time with the Open Age, and then a few more beers, and then I get up and play for the under-18s on a Sunday, and a couple more beers, then back to work. So it was a great time of my life actually playing in Stanley and growing up all the way through. Yeah,
and I think, and obviously you're a very intense character, you're very passionate about the game, but those early days must have been about enjoyment, pure enjoyment.
Yeah, they were. I think that's what's allowed me to play for so long as well, is that as I come towards the back end of my career, I've realised it's about enjoying it as well. You've got to enjoy the game as much as possible, and you get back to your roots in that way, and that's the reason why we all started playing, because we enjoyed the game. None of us started out to become professionals. We play because we want to play with us mates, and we love the game of rugby league.
And I know you've got your thoughts on the development of talent and junior rugby league players, and we'll get into that hopefully later on, but that beginning, so Stanley in the amateur game, led to a chance and an opportunity in the professional game.
So I obviously, what happened is I got contact lenses so I could see what I was running into when I was about 18 years old, so I could see what was going on. And I got a trial at Wakefield for a while, and they offered me a contract, but then I ended up trying at the Bradford Bulls. And I ended up signing a contract with the Bradford Bulls, but I didn't quite make it into the first team then, and then got offered the chance to go to either Dewsbury on loan or Wollongong University. So being the lad I am, I went down to Wollongong University and worked under Greg Mackey down under.
I just want to bring you back, because I know a couple of great stories. Just before you discovered the contact lenses, you want to tell us, you've got two to go. I like the Neil Armand one. I like the Neil Armand story.
All right. Neil Armand's when after I got my... I'll tell the first one, right? The first one was about 13 or 14, and I'm playing rugby on Stanley Park. It's a night game, and obviously back then there were no floodlights, and it's getting towards dusk, and we scored a try. I'm not concentrating, thinking about the things lads 13 and 14-year-olds do. And I'm walking back, and someone else is taking the kick. I'm walking back daydreaming, and I don't know what's going on. All of a sudden I see a white flash, and I think, oh dear, the ball's coming here, the ball's coming. So I turn round, dive on this white flash, and it turns out it was a carrier bag. I dived on a carrier bag in front of everybody, so hugely embarrassed. And the Neil Armand one, Neil Armand was a great bloke. He used to take me to training at the Bradford Bulls. He used to pick me up at the bottom of my street. He'd pick me up where Parade shops are, and what it was in the morning, you know, as you first make your way as a professional, a bit tired in the morning, and seeing a silver Rover pull up, which was, I thought it was Neil Armand's car, so I've just got in and sat in the front, and we've not moved. So I think, what's he doing? And I turn around, there's a guy there, about a 70-year-old. He said, what are you doing in my car? I said,
I can just imagine some bloke at the lights thinking, dearie me, who's this reprobate? But, your story, and I think throughout your life and your career, it's been overcoming adversity, and I know that's something that's the foundation as you of a bloke. But let's talk about Australia, what that taught you, taking that step backwards or step sideways as it was.
Yeah, I think Australia, when I look back at it now, it was fundamental to me becoming, you know, the player I am today, but I didn't quite realise that at the time. It was difficult. I went out there, the job I was supposed to have fell through. I was sleeping on people's floors, you know, I didn't have much money out there, but the guy who was the coach, Greg Mackey, he taught me a lot about the mental side of the game. Do you remember Greg Mackey, the scrum half for Warrington? He was the coach out there, and I think I'd signed as a professional rugby league player, but I didn't really know the ins and outs of being a professional rugby player, and he kind of taught me that mental side of the game, and he was tough for me, real tough for me, to the point we'd argue a lot. You know, I've got my own opinions on stuff and stubborn about things, but looking back now, that really was the grounding that allowed me to become the player I became, you know, over the last 15 so years.
And very shortly after that lesson, almost 15 years it was to the day, you know, talk about Featherstone and Bradford and those two particular clubs, and how different were they making your debut?
That was funny, you know. Came back. Matt Elliott said I wasn't ready for the first team. You can go on at Featherstone, and Featherstone's a great club with a great tradition, but I couldn't get in the team, so I was a rubber. So I used to get paid to rub down all the lads. And when I was doing it, though, I thought, you know, I'm not having this. I don't want to spend my career being the 18th and 19th man. I want to get in the first team and do whatever I can to get there. So that was kind of fuel on the fire, having to be the myself for some of the lads who I thought should have been in front of. And then got my debut down there, and things went okay. I think I played well. We had a Tres Tone one, and that went okay. I played okay in that one, and then you know, played 4 games for them, and then we come back to Bradford in 1999, and I just trained that hard through that off-season because I just really wanted it. I thought, I'm not wasting the opportunity I've got here now. I'm going to give it everything I've got. And if I don't make it, then it's not for the lack of me trying or me having a dig at it.
You had a very successful period as a Bradford player. Once you'd made that debut, you were at a golden age for the Bradford Bulls club, and part of the club when they had a monstrous pack who bowled everybody over. How was that like in that changing room? Yeah,
that was a great changing room to be in. Like you said at the beginning, I've been the most successful player, but I feel I've been one of the luckiest to play in 2 great teams, the Bradford team and the Leeds team. And as a young guy, to come in and play with the people I cheered on the terrace, you know, like Jimmy Laws and Mike Forshaw, and then to have great mentors like Brian Mack and Bernard Dwyer, and just to play that team for 5-6 years that won everything was full of characters. We won games because we had blokes who were real characters. We had such a wide range, from Jimmy Laws to Leslie Vanicola to Leon Price to Henry Paul. We were littered with superstars, but every one of them was a good bloke in it, and it was a fantastic time.
Tell me about the characters. Tell me, what was the difference between Henry and Robbie and James Laws and Brian?
So Jimmy was just angry. Jimmy's, you know, Jimmy
still is now.
He's still angry, and he's an angry bloke. So as a young kid coming through, I'd do anything for Jimmy because he was angry. Whereas Henry's more laid back. Robbie Paul's like the guy who's, I've never known him get embarrassed. He's, you know, the only man I've ever known in my life who can't get embarrassed. And you've got Brian Mack, who's straight down the line, but he's a funny guy with it. And Bernard Dwyer, who's just tough, just out and out, just a tough bloke, done things tough. And he was a great role model for myself. So, and people like Leslie Vanicola, like Leslie's a one-off, you know.
And did you take a little bit off everybody, or was there certain people who you gravitated towards?
I think what I tried to do when I first got in the team was to try work really hard, and I thought the players will respect that. If you know, we talk about the 1%ers, I thought I'd get in there and do the 1%ers, and that'd earn the respect from the likes of Jimmy, Brian Mack, Mike Forshaw, Scott Naylor, Bernard Dwyer, these kind of people, and that allowed them, they'd look after me a bit, and that kind of worked out that way. They were the people I moved towards in the team.
Going from Bradford at their peak to Leeds, you're a Leeds born and bred man, and it must have been an ambition of yours to play for Leeds. And how quickly did you drop the Bradford philosophy, go into the Leeds changing room and think, right, well, I've got to adopt how they start to think? Or did you take yours with you?
Well, a bit of both, really. I think 2006 was a very difficult year because you've got to remember 2005, I was captain of the club, and I feel I was probably heart and soul of the club, you know, along with some other players, and we were a real tight bunch, and we all pulled together at the end and won the trophy against, like, circumstances you won't believe. We went from 6th to finish 3rd to win outside the grand final. So then to come and play for Leeds, which was my dream to do, and what I totally wanted to do was difficult. I don't think our squad was the greatest in 2006, and we really struggled as a team, and I struggled. I probably fitting in a little bit there, and I think sometimes because I moved, because of where I was a Great Britain captain, and I moved to Leeds. I think people treat you with too much respect at times, you know, when you first become teammates with them. So you don't get the best out of you or them. And I think as people get to know you and become more mates with it, then I kind of settled into the club, particularly in 2007.
I'm always fascinated in dressing rooms, and you talked about the Bradford dressing rooms. What first struck you about the Leeds dressing rooms?
It was just different. I didn't think the characters were as big at first within the Leeds Rhinos dressing room. It was a different kind of characters within there. I think it was because they were all a lot younger, I suppose, as well than I was. And I suppose I was a younger player at the Bulls, and I'd gone to being a senior player there. So that's why I suppose I viewed it a little bit different. And I think there are some characters in the Leeds dressing room, but the Bulls was kind of built on everyone being a big character, whereas Leeds was more about great players being professional and having good systems from what Tony Smith had brought in.
So Tony Smith, Brian McLennan, Brian McDermott. You've seen some good times at the Rhinos.
Yeah, it's been unreal. It's been absolutely unreal. I think I don't sit back and look at it yet because I still want to keep playing. But when you read what we've done over the last few years and the times I've had and the games I've played, and it's just, especially after that first year, 2006, we bombed out. We didn't get the Challenge Cup final. We finished third or whatever. We bombed out against Warrington in the playoffs. And then to go and have that run of success under different coaches has been an unreal experience. And you know, I've had times where maybe I wanted to go to the NRL, but just because we've been that successful, I thought I'm staying here at this club.
Was that an ambition for you? Bearing in mind you've run finals, you've Challenge Cups, you've 7 World Club Challenges. What's left for Jamie Peacock?
Well, I want to win at Wembley, you know, that's what's left. Going back to the NRL, I've had quite a few opportunities to go. But it's always been a case of things have been going that well at Leeds. I just stuck with them and I just thought, this is where I want to be. It's a good set of blokes, it's a good club, you know that from yourself. And I just want these great times to continue. But going forward, I obviously want to get to more finals. I want to play in another World Cup Challenge.
More finals?
Yeah, more finals, yeah, more finals.
It's one of them,
well, it's one of them things, Pat. When you finish and the door shuts, it's shut forever.
Yeah.
You know, you can't turn around at 45 and go, tell you what, I feel like having a crack at getting to the grand final this year. Is anybody else with me? It's done then. That time is done. So why not make the most of it and why not have ambitions to be as successful as possible? And if you fail, you fail, but at least you've had a crack and you've put it out there that that's what you want to try and do.
So those are your ambitions still on the pitch. Join us in part 2 where we'll discuss JP's ambitions and thoughts off the pitch.